Hello, so I'm going to do an early 2026 Alabama football schedule walkthrough and give you my predictions. Alright, I got the schedule right here. We're going to start this off. I'm not going to go in deep on every game, but I'm going to tell you what I think. So, for the first game against East Carolina, I believe East Carolina is a pretty good G5 team, much better than they have been before. I don't expect much of a challenge, though, especially since it's in Tuscaloosa. I would say Alabama 48, East Carolina 14. Kentucky. So we're going to Kentucky, first SEC game of the year. It'll be Kentucky's first SEC game with their new head coach. Expect Kentucky to come out strong. It'll probably close for a quarter. I expect Alabama to pull away with it, though. So I'll say Alabama 50, Kentucky 20. Florida State. I feel like that with what happened last year and all the bad blood we've had with Florida State over the last couple of years and how much that game hung over our heads last year, I think we're going to absolutely smash Florida State, especially if we're having the new quarterback step in. And I think we're going to have a running game this year. And probably some better wide receiver play. Look out for Ryan Williams to actually break through this season. But I feel like Florida State in Tuscaloosa, no chance. It's going to be probably, if I had to guess, Alabama 38, Florida State 10. South Carolina. So it's in Tuscaloosa. I don't expect it to be as close as it was this year. I just don't think so. So I feel like offensively we're going to be way more powerful than we were. I don't know if the defense will be as good. I feel like that may kind of flip. I feel like South Carolina could score points. So I'm going to say Alabama 45, South Carolina 24. Sounds about fair. Mississippi State. So we're going to go back to Mississippi State for the first time in a couple of years. Now that's considered a rivalry. That place is going to be juiced up. Mississippi State seems to be on the turnaround. I expect it to be a pretty close game. We'll probably start out pretty flat with a lot of new faces in that kind of environment. I've been there. I've experienced it. It's a crazy place to play. I'd say it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be Alabama 31, Mississippi State 23. Georgia. So I feel like we're going to have a tough game with Mississippi State, and then we're going to come into Georgia. Everybody's going to think Georgia's going to dog walk us. But it's in Tuscaloosa. I do not believe that Georgia can consistently beat us. I have to see that before I believe it. And until it happens, I'm not going to believe it's happened. Because it seems like Georgia can only beat us when we've already beat them at a neutral site. It'll be a close game. I would expect this to be more like the 2024 game than last year's game in Athens. So I'm going to say Alabama 49, Georgia 35. Tennessee. So we're going to Neyland. Tennessee's kind of on the downturn. They kind of walked the first half of the season with everybody thinking they were so good, and they really didn't beat anybody all year. And we haven't won in Neyland in like 5 or 6 years now. The last time we won in Neyland was it COVID year? 2020? Yeah. We'll come out there guns blazing. I believe we'll beat Tennessee pretty handily. Probably Alabama, let's say 38, Tennessee 14. Texas A&M. So, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember if it's a home or an away game. Hold on, let me look. I think it's a home game, because I don't think they would give us 4 away games in a row. So I'm pretty sure it's a home game. So if Texas A&M's coming to Tuscaloosa, I don't think Texas A&M is going to have a very good year at all. I'm not going to say it's going to be 2014 all over again, but I'm going to say Alabama 55, Texas A&M 7. That's my one crazy prediction, is I think we're going to blast Texas A&M. Because I think the offense is going to be greatly improved. Because if it's not improved, they don't need to lace the cleats. I'm just telling you the truth. If they're not going to change, then why are you playing? You know, there's something has to change. So I'm hoping for the best here. I believe this can happen if this happens. I think we'll have a run game. I think we'll have good quarterback play. I think the defense may take a step back, but I feel like the offense will take 2 or 3 steps forward. So LSU. So this is my red alert game. So, I feel like since it's in Death Valley, Lane Kiffin is the head coach. So I'm gonna say something's gonna sound really strange. If LSU comes in the game with like 2 or 3 losses, that will scare me more than if they come into the game undefeated. I believe it's gonna be a close game either way. I feel like this will be the best chance Lane has to beat us. I just don't know if he can. It's another one of those things where I have to see it happen to believe it. I believe we're going to get back to the old LSU-Alabama overtime games. And I don't believe it'll be a low scoring. I believe this is going to be a Lane Kiffin offense. It's going to put up points. So, I'm thinking it's going to be overtime. Alabama 52, LSU 49. Yep. It's going to be the Tennessee-Alabama game from 2022. That could be right. Vandy. Without Diego Pavia, I'm real curious to see what Vandy does. I do feel like Vandy will still be pretty good. It's going to be in Nashville. We can get some revenge there. I'm going to say it's probably going to be Alabama 42, Vanderbilt 17. And then we have Chattanooga. Chattanooga. So, I think that we've struggled with Chattanooga before, and I know I'm probably talking about this game way longer than I should. But, it looks like the last couple of times these games have been, I'll go as far as to say Alabama 63, Chattanooga 3. But don't tell 2016 Jalen Hurts and the Alabama Crimson Tide that Chattanooga is no good. And then finally, Auburn. If this game was in Auburn, I would be scared to death. I think Auburn will be greatly improved. I think they picked up that quarterback from USF that actually played pretty good against Alabama, though that doesn't always seem to help when Auburn tries to go after people who play or coach well against Alabama. I feel like Auburn will probably put up some points. It's probably going to be a lot like the 2022 Iron Bowl. I'll say Alabama 40, 47 to Auburn's 21. And then I feel like in the SEC Championship, we're going to play Texas and Arch Manning. I feel like that game is going to, for some reason, turn into a defensive showdown. I feel like Alabama will win that game 28 to 21. And then the first round of the playoffs, I feel like we will probably end up getting I don't know. I'm not gonna give you my playoff prediction yet. Not till I see how some teams start next year. But that's my prediction for 2026. If you think it's overly positive, it's because I feel like this Alabama team can do something special. With a new quarterback who both quarterbacks seem like they're not afraid. Seem like Milroe and Simpson got a little scared. I feel like if you put a freshman out there or a sophomore, they're going to they're not going to be afraid. I feel like Ryan Williams is going to have his junior turnaround, kind of like how Julio Jones did. I feel like that we're going to have a run game again. One of these running backs we're going to pick up in the portal is really going to do a lot for us. Like I said, I do worry about the defense, but I feel like the offense will more than make up for the defense. I'm going to kind of expect not as dominant as a 2018 year, but maybe something like a 2016, 2017 year. I don't expect this team to not win something this year. And I expect the offense to change drastically because, like I said, if it doesn't, there's no reason to play because you know what's going to happen. I mean, I feel like a lot of what happened last year, well, I guess a couple weeks ago, was you just didn't change. You weren't ready. I don't feel like it's going to happen again. There's too much riding on Kalen DeBoer and this team. And that's just how I feel. And, you can tell me what you think. And, I'm more than likely going to be wrong. But I like to think positive. I can be realistic, but it's a new season. So I'm always going to be positive. Now, if they week 1 lose to ECU, of course, I'll probably change some things. But I got to look out for my team. Hope you enjoyed the video.